My name is Lila, and this is the story of how my husband, Mark, thought he could outmaneuver me. It began with secrets whispered in the shadows, bank transactions I never authorized, and a name, Elena Voss, that I'd never heard before. Mark wasn't just planning to leave me, he was scheming to strip me of everything I'd built. He thought I'd collapse under the weight of his betrayal. Instead, I struck first, safeguarded what was mine, and within a week, his entire plan unraveled. But the worst part wasn't the betrayal itself. It was the depth of his deception, the web of lies he'd spun, and how far he was willing to go to ruin me. I woke to an empty bed, the sheets cold beside me. Mark had been gone for some time. At first, I thought he might be in the bathroom or getting a drink. But as I sat up, blinking away sleep, I heard his voice low, guarded, deliberate. The hallway was dark, but a faint glow from the streetlights spilled through the window, casting long shadows. My stomach churned as I crept closer to the sound. "Just a bit longer. She doesn't know anything yet," Mark said, his voice smooth like he was soothing someone. My breath caught. Who was he talking to? I froze, straining to hear more, but his words grew softer, barely audible. My hands balled into fists. This wasn't a work call. Mark never whispered for work. My mind spiraled, conjuring scenarios, each darker than the last. I heard his footsteps approaching and barely made it back to bed, slipping under the covers and feigning sleep. The bed dipped as he climbed in, and I kept my breathing even. Minutes passed. He sighed, relaxed, as if nothing had happened. I turned over, murmuring, "Where were you?" "Bathroom," he said without missing a beat. A lie. "And the phone call?" I pressed, keeping my voice soft, groggy. "Just a client." "Had to sort out some details," he replied, his tone too polished. I stared at him, searching for a crack in his composure. He met my gaze, unreadable. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe it was just work. But those words, "she doesn't know anything yet," clung to me like damp cloth. I rolled over, my mind screaming, but I pushed it down. Not yet. The next morning, I woke before Mark. He was still asleep, his arms sprawled across my pillow. I grabbed my phone and slipped into the kitchen, barefoot. I rarely checked our bank accounts. Mark handled most of the finances, and I'd never questioned it. But something felt wrong. I opened the banking app and my stomach dropped. 300, 800, 1,500, 2,200. A string of withdrawals over the past 3 months, small but frequent, none tied to bills or investments we'd discussed. My hands tightened around my phone. We shared expenses, mortgage, utilities, but kept personal accounts separate. These transactions weren't ours. Footsteps interrupted my thoughts. I locked my phone as Mark appeared in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. "Morning," he mumbled. "What's for breakfast?" I set my phone down. "Was about to ask you the same thing." He smirked, pouring coffee. "Your turn, then." I watched him sip his coffee, his hand casual on the counter. "I checked our bank account this morning," I said, keeping my tone even. He froze, just for a moment, his grip tightening on the mug before he chuckled. "And there are a lot of withdrawals I don't recognize," I said, crossing my arms. He didn't hesitate. "Just some small investments. Business opportunities. Short-term gains, nothing to worry about." He was lying. I knew it. The rest of the day I tried to shake the unease. But Mark's behavior didn't help. He was glued to his phone, taking calls in another room, always setting it face down. Every glance at him felt like staring at a stranger. That night, lying in bed, I couldn't silence my thoughts. Mark was confident, a smooth talker who could wriggle out of anything, but I knew him too well. Something was wrong. The next morning, Mark was too relaxed, laughing at the TV, suggesting takeout like everything was normal, but it was too perfect, too rehearsed. Then it happened. He left his phone on the coffee table while he showered, a rare slip. He never left it unattended. I stared at it, pulse racing. The screen was face down, as always. Then a notification lit it up. A text from Elena Voss. My hands shook as I tilted the phone to read the preview. "Keep her in the dark. We're close." My chest tightened. The room felt smaller. Who was Elena Voss? What were they planning? I heard the shower stop and quickly placed the phone back, sinking into the couch, gripping my knees to steady myself. Mark returned, towel drying his hair, completely at ease. "Decided on dinner?" he asked, grabbing his phone without a glance. "Not yet," I managed, my voice tight. He unlocked his phone, no hesitation, like he had nothing to hide. But I knew better. The pieces were falling into place. The secrecy, the money, the late-night call. I didn't confront him. If he was hiding something this big, I needed proof. The next morning, Mark slid a document across the breakfast table. "Hey, babe, can you sign this real quick?" I glanced at it, my stomach twisting. "Sign what?" "Just some financial updates. Tax stuff," he said, his tone casual, but his fingers tapped unevenly on the table at tell. I skimmed the document. Legal jargon, but one thing stood out: a property transfer agreement. My assets, my savings, our house, everything would go to him. I looked up, his careful smile faltering under my gaze. "Mark," I said, voice steady, "what is this?" "It's just a precaution," he said smoothly. "Consolidating things for protection. Nothing changes." "You're asking me to sign over everything," I said, my hands trembling. "Not from fear, but rage." "Not everything," he replied, as if that softened it. "Just for safety, in case something happens." I set the papers down, deliberate. "I'm not signing this." His smile twitched. "Lila, don't be dramatic. It's just paperwork." "Then why are you so eager for me to sign without reading it?" I shot back. His expression hardened, his voice low. "You really don't want to do this, Lila." "Is that a threat?" I asked, unflinching. He leaned back, arms crossed, his calm unnerving. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." I smiled, just enough to unsettle him. "You know what, Mark? You're right. I need to think about this." I stood, gathering the papers and placing them on the counter. He wasn't expecting that. I'd just taken control. On that night, Mark played the perfect husband, but I saw through it. He was planning his exit, and he wanted everything when he left. The next morning, he confirmed it. Over coffee, he looked up and said, "We need to talk." I tilted my head. "Oh? I think we should separate," he said, his tone practiced. "It's not working anymore. You have to see that." I leaned forward. "You've been planning this, haven't you?" A flicker crossed his face. "It's for the best, Lila. We've grown apart." "Grown apart?" I said, voice calm. "You mean you want out, but not empty-handed?" His jaw tightened, but he didn't deny it. I leaned back, smiling. "I already moved my assets, Mark." His posture stiffened. "What do you mean?" "Exactly what it sounds like," I said, slow and deliberate. His eyes darkened, his voice sharp. "You're going to regret this." I held his gaze. "We'll see." The next morning, a knock at the door interrupted my coffee. A man in a suit handed me an envelope. "Lila Bennett, you've been served." I tore it open. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Mark wasn't just leaving, he wanted half of everything. The house, the car, our shared accounts, even spousal support. I laughed bitterly. He'd planned this for months. At my lawyer's office, Sarah flipped through the papers, smirking. "He's got nothing. You moved your assets into a trust before he filed. Legally, he can't touch them. Spousal support? With your income compared to his, it's a non-starter." I exhaled, tension easing. Mark had underestimated me. But he wasn't done. Rumors started at work. Whispers that I'd been laundering money from our accounts. Mark was spreading lies, talking to colleagues, lawyers, friends. He wasn't just after my money, he wanted to destroy my reputation. I stormed into Sarah's office, slamming down screenshots of the rumors. "This needs to stop." She scanned them, chuckling. "He's desperate. This opens him up to defamation charges. We send a cease and desist first. If he doesn't stop, we escalate." I nodded, seething. "I don't want this dragging out. I want him gone." 2 weeks later, Mark filed a motion for a full financial audit, claiming I'd mismanaged joint funds. Sarah wasn't fazed. "It's nonsense, but it could drag out if the court entertains it. We counterfile for dismissal and demand he cover legal costs. In court, Mark's lawyer argued I'd hidden assets. Sarah countered, presenting evidence that my financial moves predated his filing. The judge denied his motion and ordered him to pay my legal fees. Mark's face was pale, his smirk gone. But he had one last play. Sarah called me the next morning. Mark and Elena Voss filed a complaint accusing you of financial fraud. They submitted doctored documents. If this sticks, you could face a criminal investigation. My heart sank. Are the documents real? No, Sarah said, but they're good forgeries. Except for one thing, the timestamps. The accounts they referenced didn't exist when those transactions supposedly happened. That was it. Their mistake. I wasn't just going to defend myself, I was going to end this. File a motion proving the documents are fake, I said. Then sue them for defamation and falsifying evidence. Say. In court, Sarah dismantled their case. A forensic analyst confirmed the documents were fraudulent. We countersued for defamation. Mark's lawyer scrambled, then stood. Your Honor, my client wishes to withdraw his claims. The judge nodded. Motion dismissed. Mr. Bennett will cover all legal costs. Outside, Mark brushed past me, muttering, This isn't over. I whispered back, Yes, it is. Mock days later, Sarah handed me the final settlement. Mark got nothing. His claims were dismissed, his reputation in tatters. He'd tried to ruin me and failed. That evening, my sister Claire hosted a victory dinner. She raised a glass, grinning. To Lila, who never lets a man outsmart her. I laughed, clinking my glass. To freedom. Later, on my balcony overlooking the city, I felt different, stronger, clearer. I'd lost trust, time, and the illusion of love, but I'd gained control. My phone buzzed an unknown number. I blocked it without hesitation. I opened my laptop, a blank document waiting. A new chapter. My chapter. Life tests us when we least expect it. The people we trust can betray us, but strength comes from rising after the fall. I could have let Mark's betrayal break me, but I fought for my finances, my dignity, my future. If you've ever been blindsided, know this. You're stronger than you think. Walking away from what no longer serves you is the greatest victory. Have you ever had to fight for yourself against the odds? Share your story below. Drop a 1 if this resonated, or tell me where you're reading from. For more stories like this, stay tuned. There's more to come. Stay strong, stay smart, and never let anyone take your power.